Hello everyone, welcome back to the NDAC. We've got Zealot Gaming taking on Filth plus 4. This is the main event, so these teams have come through the group stages and with the highest win rates and are taking on each other for the right to fight in the grand final happening later today. For now, let's just get into the picks and bans phases. Filth plus 4 decide to ban the Slaughter, a very popular hero in the current meta, and Zealot respond with the Queen of Pain ban. Doom and Shadow Fiend are quickly banned out by both teams. All very strong heroes in the current meta, and understandably not things that either team wants to deal with. The Radiant pick up the first pick Dazzle, arguably the most sought after support after Tusk, provides great sustain to the team, can keep someone alive for seemingly forever with Shadow Grave, good healing with Shadow Wave, and some bonus armor or minus armor with the Weave. A very versatile hero and a great support to pick up first up.
Reserve time. Winter rival. Dyer's pick.
The Team Zealot respond with a Winter Wyvern pick, another very useful support with split push potential and deep push potential from the Splinter Blast, Winter's Curse to lock a hero down for a number of seconds through BKB, Arctic Burn to provide good harass, and Cold Embrace to save someone from lots of physical damage. Zealot then also pick up the Night Stalker, a very aggressive hero, generally played as offlane or support, and the Radiant respond with a Tusk. Tusk, a very highly prized hero in professional Dota right now, so versatile, can do a lot of damage, can save allies with Snowball, and generally wreak havoc in teamfights with Ice Shards, Walrus Punches, and Snowballs flying everywhere. The Radiant team then ban out the Undying, not wanting to have the Zombie Lord face rushing them for the entirety of the early game. Zealot ban out the Ember Spirit, seeing that the Radiant team may want to take it late game, and that's not a hero that they really want to deal with in that situation. The Radiant, they ban out the Templar Assassin, clearly not wanting to allow the tricky, slippery Lanaya to sneak through their plans. And Zealot, again, choosing to ban out another carry, this time the Alchemist. A carry that's kind of fallen out of favor. Recently, there was a period of time in 6.85 where he was just everywhere, every game, going mid, building a Radiance, causing cancer. But then people moved on. They realized even though he was very effective, his win rate was not all that high. And they moved on to bigger and better things. Zealot looked to pick up their third hero here, maybe their offlaner or their mid lane, so that they don't really reveal their safe lane carry too early to make him susceptible to counter picks. Digging a little bit into reserve time to do so. Zealot choose to pick up the Gyrocopter, a hero that's almost exclusively a safe lane carry. They just didn't want to give it to the Radiant team. Gyro hero that synergizes well with both Winter Wyvern and Night Stalker, as both of those heroes have slows and he can get up next to the enemy and rocket barrage them to death. And the Radiant respond to the Gyrocopter with a Lina, a hero that can, for a long period of time, just if she gets onto the Gyrocopter, can instantly blow her up with a combination of Light Striker 8, Dragon Slave, and Laguna Blade. Gyrocopter will need to build a BKB to be able to stand any chance of surviving in this game. And even then, Laguna Blade, once Venus picks up Ragnum's, pierces BKB. Zealot choosing to style on the Radiant team with an Invoker. some say the trickiest hero to play simply because he has so many spells, but in the capable hands of Zealot's mid player, I'm sure we shall see some flashy plays in this game. Invoker is also a fairly decent pick this game because he can use his Ghost Walk to evade things like Tusk's aggression, but he's going to have a tough time against that Viper. Viper, a hero that is picked for its lane dominance and ability to just sit in the middle of a fight, tank a lot of damage, and just distract from the rest of his team. A tanky Viper sitting on the front lines will allow heroes like the Lina and the Dazzle to sit back, deal their damage from afar, and keep the team alive without risking their own lives. It's going to be interesting to see how Invoker can face up against Viper, a hero picked to dominate his lane. And for the majority of the NDAC, he has been doing so. The final bans are coming out for both teams. Team Zealot banning out the Earthshaker, very disruptive hero. They don't want to make sure that they want to make sure that their Gyrocopter, their Invoker, and their Winter Wyvern don't get gone on from the good old Rygor Stonehoof. For the Radiant team,
10 seconds to go.
they're taking a long time to think. They haven't even eaten into 1 second of their reserve time, but they might do so now, just for their last ban, just to make sure that they ban out the exact hero that Zealot want to pick. It could either be an offlane hero if the Night Stalker is run as a support, or a support hero if the Night Stalker is run as an offlane. We'll just see how the Radiant team assess Zealot's Night Stalker pick. Do they think it's an offlane hero, or do they think it's a support? They think the Night Stalker is an offlane hero and Banner is the support Witch Doctor. The Radiant were a little short on stuns. They have Lina and Tusk for stuns, but Viper and Dazzle do not provide anything in that department, and a long duration Witch Doctor could decimate them. And Zealot will look to pick up their final hero. What will it be? They've got a lot of time to do so. They've got 14 seconds of normal time, about just over a minute of reserve time, so they can think long and hard. What can counter this very burst damage centric lineup from the Radiant? Not a whole lot of damage over time, just that first initial burst of Lina's rotation, Tusk's rotation, and Dazzle's first Shadow Wave will be hard to survive, but if they can get past it, it's only really the Viper who provides much sustained damage at this point. And so Zealot might look for someone like a Phoenix just to tank through that initial burst and reset and take the team fight afterwards. Phoenix's Egg is one of the most disruptive spells in team fights because it forces the entire enemy team to focus on it, and if they don't, it's going to be a pretty rough time for them. The Radiant respond with a Clinks, a hero that can have very, very high attack speed and burst down the egg within a matter of seconds. So, take the time to introduce the teams. On the Radiant, we have the captain of the Radiant team on Clinks. We have Hif on the Dazzle. We have Hoots on the Tusk. Filth on the Lina. And Bicolur on the Viper. On the Dire, we have JX on the Invoker, PlayGamey122 on the Phoenix, Sneaky NDAC hype, woohoo, nice to see someone is very hyped for this, as I am. On the Night Stalker, John on the Winter Wyvern, and Deck on the Gyrocopter. I'm having a little bit of technical issues, hopefully it's nothing serious. Just a quick pause, coming out, allowing the teams to take a breath, consider where their lineups are strong, and think about how they are going to win this game. For the Dire team, they have a nice balance of everything. They have decent split push in the Invoker, if he goes to the Export build. And the Winter Wyvern, great teamfight capabilities, and great pickup potential from the Night Stalker. On the Radiant team, they're lacking a little on stuns, but apart from that, their teamfight is pretty strong. They have a lot of physical damage, so with the Clinks and the Viper, they can make people go away in the later stages of the game, and with Lina to burst through them early with her magic damage rotation, they have a nice balance of early, mid-game and late game. All in all, fairly rounded drafts from both sides. If I were to favor one draft, I'd say I'd probably favor the Zephyr lineup a little bit more. I feel they scale a little bit better, especially with the Winter's Curse is always a factor. One hero being able to be caught out through BKB at any point during the game is something that should not be underestimated. But it does depend on how the Night Stalker and the Invoker play out in the early game. If they manage to get decent farm and experience, they can roll over that into the mid game, and if not, I fear that the Radiant team may be able to just take the game in that early stage. I'm not going to be looking to have any fights for the first runes. Invoker picking up the top rune and Lina picking up the bottom rune. Viper, he looks like he's actually going into the offlane. He can do okay there if he keeps his positioning fairly conservative, but he appears to be just going there with the Tusk. So instead of a tri-lane with a solo offlane, we're going to be having dual lanes from the Radiant, and and an early rotation for the Night Stalker could spell the end of the Lina, but he just throws out Casual Void to say hello, I'm here, and just securing JX that early little bit of farm towards his first major item, maybe. With the Tusk, he snowballs in onto the Night Stalker. Lina hits her Life Strike Array, and they do have a lot of physical damage coming out from the Tusk, but they're afraid of the Invoker, who's just got his level 2, he's got Cold Snap, and they don't want to mess with that. Night Stalker, he's fairly low, but he'll regen up through tangos. So it looks like mid lane is going to be the point of contention at this point in the game, with both teams wanting to assure that their mid laner gets off to the best start that they possibly can. Team Zephyr are a little more insistent on this, keeping their Night Stalker a little closer than the Radiant team are keeping their Tusk. And the Night Stalker just constantly trying to harass the Lina with spamming of his Void. Tusk runs up the hill, gets a Void for his troubles, and then is forced to run down. In the Radiant safe lane, Clinks, he's just farming. He's farming nicely. He's got 4-0, less than 2 minutes into the game. He's doing alright. He's had a little bit of harass from feeding icebergs, but nothing too drastic at this point in the game. Both teams very vocal with pings, making sure that they're in the best possible position. The Winter Wyvern has rotated to get the top rune, and there is an initiation on the Invoker. He's too low. Tusk gets a snowball, but the Cold Snap prevents him from getting that last punch that spells the Invoker's in, and Sneaky gets the first blood. First blood goes to the Dire and the Night Stalker. Very important rotation and kill from the Night Stalker. Will allow him to get those early levels, get some farm, and maybe make him a little bit more effective in that first night time. He's got his boots and 600 gold, so he should be sitting pretty for the first night time in about 1 minute and 15 seconds. Deck in the top lane, he is farming the best of anyone. He's got 16 CS, far above anyone else, and he's making the most of it, picking up an early Ring of Aquila. JX on the Invoker, he's just trying to get the experience with all of the action in his lane. He just wants to make sure that he doesn't die, he gets his levels, and he gets his first couple of major items. The Clinks, he's picked up his boots in the safe lane. Farming not quite as well as Dark. Oh, and there's initiation in the top lane, but this could go poorly for the Radiant team, as Tusk is going to get Rocket Barrage down. This Tusk seems to be playing a little too aggressively, underestimating the power of a level 2 Rocket Barrage from Gyrocopter. And they weren't able to kill either the Winter Wyvern or the Gyrocopter in that first initial burst, and the Gyrocopter just pushed Q a couple of times and made him die. In the Radiant safe lane, Dazzle looks like he's going to go down here. He's going to... The Fire Spirits and Icarus dive from the Phoenix enough to get the kill. And the Ice Shot's just off the mark. Phoenix not quite getting trapped down. And the first Nighttime has run around. Void slowing up the Lina. Cold Snap just before she can get off the stun. Invoker gets off a Tornado and spells her doom. Things are going very well for Team Zephyr. They're 4-0 up. They've got 1,500 net worth, about 1,000 experience lead, 4 minutes into the game, and they just look to turn this into a push on the tier 1 tower in the top lane. With NutZ Dota being in the first night, he's even managed to pick up the Magic Wand and Orb of Venom with his extra gold, just to give him a little bit of extra slow and sustained damage and regeneration from the Magic Wand. JX, he's got his boots. What's he got flying out to him? He's got the remnants of a Magic Wand. Seeing as the Radiant team are so dependent on low cooldown spells like Light Strike Array and Dragon Slave for farming, even the Snowball, having magic wands on all your heroes will help them ensure that they survive the first initial assault of damage. Phoenix, he's level 5, he's got his Tranquil Boots working to keep him regened hard. Clinks, he's got a lot of gold saved up. He might be going for a Midas Rush, just seeing that how poorly this early game is shaping up for his team. He just wants to try and maybe push to the late game with an early Midas pickup just to secure him levels and farm going on, no matter how the next couple of minutes go. In the top lane, Nightstalker looks to be picking up a Haste Rune. He picks up a Haste Rune, however, Viper has backed off, seeing that with this ward here, that the Nightstalker had picked up the rune. Invoker, looking to go towards the Phase Boost build, give him a bit more move speed, a bit more damage against Lina's slightly superior damage. It's only 3 extra, but it can make a difference. And the Invoker has also chosen to go the more control-based Quas Wex build as opposed to the damage-based Quas Exhort build. I think that's a very wise decision with the... Oh, and Viper does deny the top tower, but he pays for it with his life. Cooldown is used and Viper goes away. But yes, the Invoker Quas Wex build is probably the more favorable at this point in time, with a Tornado on top of a Phoenix Ult could be devastating, but JX, he does get gone, he does get dusted up, and he gets Laguna Bladed and deleted from Dota. Volvo Dota bugged out, Invoker got deleted. That's the power of the Laguna Blade at these early levels, just such a high percentage of any hero's health that it is difficult for anyone to survive even from full health. Nightstalker's Nighttime is going to be running out soon and he's not level 6, so he cannot cast Darkness to extend it, but he's making the most of it while he has it. Invoker, he buys his Phase Boots and he comes back to the lane, just to try come back despite the early aggression on him. But this aggression is not going to stop. Filth and Hoots, they've smoked up. They're heading either towards the top lane. Yes, they're rotating towards the top lane where the Gyrocopter is farming unsuspectingly. Phoenix manages to kill the Dazzle in the Radiant Woods, but there's something awful coming for deck in the top lane, in the form of a nice icy snowball. Some ice shards, even though they get missed. Snowball gets popped, dodges the Gyro. Some of the Gyro actually doesn't dodge any of the Gyrocopter ult damage, just hits the Gyrocopter in the face and makes him go away. In the Radiant safe lane, Clinks He's got 50 CS, he's farming fairly nicely. His net worth almost on par with that of the gyrocopter. Overall, the net worths are fairly even, only a slight lead for Team Zephyr. No, not Team Zephyr, Team ZT. And nothing that is really going to push anyone over the edge in terms of dominating a team fight with a little item advantage. In terms of items, the Invoker going for an Urn of Shadows, which is very potent in combination with Cold Snap, as the Urn of Shadows tick damage actually proc the Cold Snap stuns. Night Stalker, here that normally goes to the Urn of Shadows, is going to look to help Gyrocopter and summon, but it's slightly too late. He gets snowballed and he dies before any help can come for him. But now, with 3 heroes rotating up, the Phoenix does manage to get the Tusk, and they will end this Tusk's existence. He tries to dodge the stun from the Supernova with the Snowball, but he does not manage to, and he goes down anyway. Nina, she's full health, almost full mana, and she's looking to kill someone. She's waiting, camping out the rune, waiting to see if anyone would get it, and then gets it herself. It is an invis rune, so she may look to just use it to rotate somewhere and kill someone, and yes, she does. She sees that the Invoker's mid lane, that he has no detection, and she lands a perfect stun, and he's one step away from dying, and with the snowball, he should go away. But the Lina, they do get a return kill on the Lina, and with the TP in from the Winter Wyvern, they could get the Tusk as well here. The Arctic Burn Slow, making sure that he doesn't get away from the rocket barrage of the gyrocopter. A little bit more, and there's the Night Stalker rotating in. One last spank from the void, and the Tusk is dead. Meanwhile, in bot lane, the Clinks, he's just farming. He has now overtaken the gyrocopter in terms of net worth. Even though the gyrocopter is rotating around getting kills, the Clinks is just sitting in lane and getting every single creep he can. He has 67 CS at 11 minutes. Very nice rate. But so he's going to have very nice timing on his Orchid Malevolence, and that'll be very tough for heroes like the Invoker to deal with. But the Radiant responding to the farm on the Clinks by trying to push down as many towers as they possibly can. The Winter Wyvern using the Cold Embrace nicely to keep the Catapult alive as long as possible. Clinks has pushed the bottom tier 1 tower, and there are 4 heroes on the Dire team to push the Radiant mid tier 1 tower down. Phoenix, he's picked up his recipe for his Hand of Midas. The fairly standard build on all the Phoenixes. The bird actually doesn't need a hell of a lot to do anything really, so they're just opting for the Hand of Midas to provide extra income and experience throughout the game, just to allow him to stay in the game. Clinks, he's about 300 gold from his Orchid Malevolence. Invoker, he's just picked up that Urn of Shadows. Winter Wyvern, he's poor, but he has a Soul Ring. That's something. He has something to his name other than boots. The Gyrocopter, he's probably got the rest of his Sanj, just the Yoga Club from his Sanj flying out to him, and he'll be looking to farm up the rest of his Sanj and Yasha, just to tank up a little bit, allow him to stay in fights a bit longer, and maybe survive through the burst damage of Filth on the Lina. Filth, however, has picked up his Yule Scepter of Divinity, which will allow him to just Yule someone's up in the air, light strike away them down, and watch their corpse drop slowly into the floor. With the pickup of the Yule Scepter on the courier, and the Clinks' Orchid Malevolence coming out as well, this is a very strong timing for the Radiant team. They may want to group up, silence someone, Yule someone else up in the air, and then just delete 2 heroes before the fight even starts. Clinks, he's used his skeleton walk. He's hunting. He's hoping that someone from the Dire team is on the prowl in the bottom lane, but he does not have any such luck. Picks up a TP scroll from the side shop probably, or just camping there for out of sight, and he's going to wait off the cooldown of his Death Pact, pick up a creep. Oh, but there's initiation. They try to initiate the unleash, he yields himself up in the air, but she goes down anyway. Cooldown, Void, Tornado, she's down. A nice 700 gold swing in the favor of the Radiant team. Team ZT will look to turn this into a tier 1 tower push in mid. The tower's already at half health. The Radiant team don't have any fortification to use, so this is a free tower. While they were doing that, the Radiant team are getting aggressive in the bottom lane, putting 3 heroes here to try and push down the tower. Clinks, he's just looking to get his death back, and then maybe try to kill off this Winter Wyvern, but he's afraid that he's seen with this very, very good ward on the hill, the rotations from the rest of the Dire heroes. Sneaky's picked up his full treads. He's got a bracer, maybe for a drum of endurance. They pop a hopeful dust of appearance just to try and see if the Clinks was hanging anywhere around, and sadly for them he wasn't, but luckily for the Clinks. Once again with this slight advantage, this 3000 net worth and 2000 XP advantage that they have, Team ZT looking to push down the bot tier 1 tower on the Radiant. While they're doing that, Lina looking to solo push the mid tier 1 tower with her ability to clear waves very, very rapidly. Oh, she gets caught by that tornado. This could spell her in, but no. A nice defensive ice shots from Tusk means that Invoker doesn't want to come forward just for risk of dying. So the Dire push down the bot tier 1 tower and successfully defend against a push. Oh, but there was initiation on top lane. Hoots and Clinks are going onto the Gyrocopter. Gyrocopter does manage to die, even though he hit his ultimate on both of them. And Winter Wyvern, we have a lot of rotation coming in from Team ZT. Filth is likely going to go down here. He's silenced. He's earned. He's dead. 2 for 1 at this point in time, and the Dazzle, he's fleeing as fast as he possibly can. Overall, about a 1000 gold swing for Team ZT. But while they were doing that, Clinks, he was farming mid. This Clinks has been very good at assessing when he needs to fight and when he should be elsewhere. And most of the time the answer is just be elsewhere and farming. Just getting additional levels, additional farm, and making sure he overtakes everyone in terms of net worth. Him and the Lina are actually the highest net worth heroes on the entire map. It's fairly close at this point, but they have managed to supplant heroes like the Gyrocopter and even the Phoenix, who managed to get an early hand of Midas. The Viper, he's almost got his mechanism. He's about 100 gold away from that, and that'll be another signal for the Radiant team to start fighting on a serious note. The mechanism is picked up, and they'll likely look to group and push the tower. Maybe the tier 1 top, or they might get more aggressive, smoke into the enemy jungle, look to get a pick off, and push from there. Lina solo pushing with her supports hanging in the trees, just to see if anyone comes to defend this tower. Dire use their free fortification, but they use this opportunity to push down the tier 2 in mid. They'd be happy to trade a tier 1 top for a tier 2 mid. With another clever usage of the Cold Embrace from Winter Wyvern, Clinks does silence up the Night Stalker, but he's very tanky. He's got a lot of armor. He's got 10 armor. He's not taking too much damage from the Clinks, and he'll survive. Tusk throwing out Ice Shards. Viper throwing out Viper Strikes. But it's nothing. There's no damage to be worried about at this point in time. Phoenix is getting kind of low. Oh, but that's a great stun from Lina. Managing to get the Phoenix before he could even get snowballed off. Phoenix goes down. Tusk snowballs in. Oh, and the Laguna Blade from Lina just not enough to get JX. But the 2 right clicks are. Right now it's a 4-for-1 in favor of the die. Could be a 5-for-1 after all is said and done. Lina's out of mana, but she will have. She has mana for her last striker right now. She's got 1 shot. That's just 1 guess, but the gyro silenced up and right click to death. Overall, at 1 kill, 547 gold for the Radiant, and about a 3k gold swing with that 1 fight brings the game back in the favor of the Radiant team. While they've been behind in terms of golden experience for pretty much all of the game, they're now at 20 minutes into the game. They're ahead again, 2k experience ahead and about 1k gold, and they'll be looking to make the most of this with Clinks farming up, Lina getting closer to a BKB, opting not to go for the Aghanim's rush or rushing something like a Bloodstone or Blink Dagger, simply because she knows that she has the possibility of getting burst down without a BKB, especially if she gets silenced by the Night Stalker, and she just wants an ability to purge that off or prevent it from happening in the first place. The BKB will give that to her and make sure that she will survive to get at least 1 or 2 rotations of her spells off, seeing as they're on such short cooldown. Team ZT, they're looking to do the same thing that they did in the previous fight. They're just barreling down mid and telling the Radiant team, show us what you got. The Tornado EMP combo is completely whiffed from Revoker, and this may be a signal for the Radiant team to initiate. Team ZT know this and they back off. They let the Radiant team deny the tower and are content with running away. Night Stalker, he's picked up a point booster, the first piece of what is likely to be an Aghanim Scepter. For him, Gyrocopter, he's picked up a completed Sanjin Yasha. Play gamey, he looks like he's going for a Rod of Atos with 1 Vitality booster and 1 Staff of Wizardry. Second Staff will mean an Atos. The Radiant team use this opportunity to try and sneak Roshan. The Frozen Sigil from Tusk providing a little bit of attack speed slow on Roshan, and with the rapid attack speed of Lina and the high damage coming from Clinks' Searing Arrows, Lina manages to pick up the Aegis the Immortal without too much hassle. Since his Orca, the Clinks has picked up a Ogre Club, and there's a big fight. Gyrocopter goes down, Phoenix goes down, and then everyone else just scatters to the winds. Neither team wants to fight, both teams feeling that they're behind. Lina, she picks up her Black King Var, and Dazzle is attempted to be chased down in the mid lane, but they just don't have enough damage.
Radiant's mid tower could use a hand.
Die Heroes, after killing that Viper, keen to just reset, farm up some camps, and push out the bottom lane. Invoker is ever closer to that Orchid Malevolence. The Night Stalker, he's still going for that. He's got 1 piece of the Aghanim Scepter. Winter Wyvern got a cloak, the first piece of a Glimmer Cape maybe, and then on the careers makings of a couple of magic ones. Big Lord on the Viper. He's picked up trades in an Ogre Club in addition to his mechanism. Dazzle, he's got Mana Boots. Hoots, he's got an Urn of Shadows, which will help finish off a player they don't quite manage to kill in their first initial rotation. And Lena, like I said earlier, she just finished up her BKB. So a couple of good timings coming out from the Radiant team, and let's see if they can make the most of their relative strength. Overall, they're about 1,000 net worth and 4,000 XP ahead, but this grouping as 5 in the jungle is not really going to help them. Although the Team ZT are also simply grouped as 5, afraid of anything that could happen. Both teams know that this next fight is incredibly important. The next fight could spell who takes the game by taking the first racks. The Dire team spot out the Radiant. The Radiant team, spot out the Dire Ward and bring it down with Lino Illusions, not allowing the Dire heroes any chance to see where it is safe. Lina, once again, solo farm in the top lane. One right click on all the creeps is all it needs at level 4. And the Dire heroes look to stop this. The Invoker and the Gyrocopter are moving up towards the top lane. The Invoker is clearly more keen on killing the Lina, whereas the Gyrocopter, he just wants to farm the jungle. He's just content to hit jungle creep camps and earn some money. Earn real money! Clinks almost finished up his BKB. Again, like the Lina, just wants to make sure he can stand in fights and deal as much damage as possible, which doesn't happen when you die within the first 1 second. And Clink's not a hero that is really tanky enough to hard frontline a fight. By that I mean just tank every single scrap of damage and still come out okay. Those are more for heroes like Axe and Legion Commander. But Clink's, he can be a bit annoying with his disruptive invisible nature and ability to deny you experience and farm through his death pact. The Radiant captain clearly showing the strengths of the hero, just split pushing to his heart's content, smoke ganking, gyro silenced. Oh, but the great Winter's Curse means the end of Phil for the first time, because the Clinks just does so much damage. The Clinks comes back in, and ulti gets thrown on the Invoker, and Clinks goes down as well. 2 for 1 at this stage. Can the Phoenix snipe Lina? No. But he does manage to get the sniper, making the trade a 3 for 1 trade. Well worth it for Team ZT. Overall, a 1500 gold swing for Team ZT, simply because the Viper, while it was all happening, was farming mid lane. That one team fight will signal the push from Team ZT. DEC sitting on the front line with his Sanjin Yasha, his Ogre Club, not dealing too much damage, but being very tanky for his level and making sure that he makes the most of his money right now, that they can end the game within the next 15 to 20 minutes. He secured the kill on the tower by throwing out his zoning cooldown and then promptly back out. Roshan hasn't quite spawned yet, so they can't take that, but they'll just go back to farming their own woods, farming the lane, and occasionally, hopefully, farming the enemy woods. In terms of net worth, Mina is just farming the jungle and is about 1500 gold away from her Aghanim's. So we'll be seeing a much more potent BKB piercing, pure damage version of her ultimate very, very soon. Clinks, what is his next item? His next item looks to be a BKB as well. Everyone seems to be worried about getting silenced, getting stunned, getting locked down in any particular way, shape or form. So they're all counteracting it as best they can. The majority of them are just building BKBs. The Viper almost finished his. Dazzle choosing to just tank up with an Urn of Shadows. Lena tanking up with a point booster just to give her extra health and mana. And also work towards Ragnar Scepter. While the Dire Heroes all farm. Now they split. Now they Smoke of Deceit and go round as 5. They feel that someone is in their jungle farming their creeps. But 2 minutes ago maybe. But now there is absolutely no one in the jungle. With the entirety of the Radiant team playing very defensive inside their own jungle. As they see this, Team ZT look to just push a lane, end the game before their advantage fades away into nothing. With a lineup like Team ZT's, the constant roaming as 5 is effective, but the Radiant team managing to take a very good trade, trading a tier 2 top for a tier 2 bottom. Why this is a better trade for Team ZT, arguably, for the Radiant team, is the tier 2 bottom is very close to the Roshan pit. It was the closest access point after the tier 1 mid went down. Destroying that is much more important strategically for the Radiant than destroying the tier 2 top is for the Dire. The top lane a much more protected lane than the safe lane on the Radiant side, and Team ZT looking to maybe smoke, but there's none in their inventory, looking to just rotate around, get kills, rather than hard farm lanes for an extended period of time. They seem to be brewing for a fight in mid lane with 4 of the Dire Heroes, but Radiant Heroes, they're having none of it. They're just going top lane. They're like, we don't see anyone here, let's just play it safe and get the tower. However, Team ZT take this opportunity to take Roshan, bring him down, and just get the Aegis on their most important hero. Probably at this point, everyone might want to put on Gyrocopter due to the sheer damage potential he has, or maybe a Night Stalker, but the other heroes, they're all TP out. Gyrocopter last TP out, and that was one of the shortest Aegises I've ever seen. That must have lasted like 2 seconds. In fact, he mistimed Phoenix ultimates, he goes down too, and Gyrocopter pops his Black King bar, right clicks as many people as he can, but he just can't kill anyone. With the defensive abilities gone, he just doesn't have the damage to bring anyone low, which is his main problem right now. Sure, he might be able to bring people down later, but he also needs to be able to do it now. And with the Sanjin Yasha into BKB build, there's not as many stats. So you don't attack as fast, you don't attack as hard, and The answer to attacking fast and attacking hard, according to this gyrocopter, is a Shadow Blade. But he quickly solves that. He realizes it's folly and decides against it. He gets the 2,800 gold back in his bank account, and he can breathe easily again. I don't know how many DD runes Filth has found, but it seems to be a lot. Every time I look at that hero, he's pretty much DD'd. Clink's almost finished the Desolator, only about 600 to go, 500 to go. Belk sitting on the Sanjayasha, and the beginnings of what is likely an MKB or a Daedalus. Invoker, his major item is the Orchid Malevolence. With that he can silence anyone for a short period of time and make them confess their sins, but quietly. The Radiant team are smoking through the jungle. Luckily for Team Z2, they don't find anyone. Phoenix has not progressed much since his Rod of Atos a while ago, but he does have 2,000 gold on top of him, so he may be spending that in the next couple of minutes. Gyro, he's still sitting on that Demon Edge. With two of the Radiant heroes around in the area, the Radiant team might just look to take a fight here. However, Lina is by herself in the top lane. She is not anywhere near her teammates. So even if they do take the fight, which they are doing, actually they're not doing, they're dodging the fight. They rotate top to help their Lina, they silence up the Night Stalker, they stun in very nice combination of spells. Gyrocopter pops his ulti, Phoenix pops his ulti, but he gets brought down by Lina just by herself. Deck pops his ultimate, but gets deleted by Filth, who has picked up an Aghanim Scepter. He's completed the Aghanim Scepter, so now that ultimate does pure damage through BKB. It's all going down. Who on the ZT team is yelling timber? A 4-for-1, 3,000 gold in the favor of the Radiant team, and they're going to look to push high ground here. An early EMP from Invoker misses the creep wave, so the creep wave doesn't push out. Dazzle gives his entire team armor, but however he fails to dodge the Cyclone, and with that this may spell the end of the push from the Radiant team. They pushed valiantly and yet not recklessly, while the Dire still had heroes in the graveyard, and they know that they're a solid 2,000 experience and more than 8,000 gold and more than 8,000 experience ahead of Team ZT, and they're going to make the most of that. Filth, on top of his Aghanim Scepter, BKB and Yule Scepter, he now has 3,000 gold. He may look towards the Octarine Core to reduce the cooldowns and give him some lifesteal from his spells. He might look towards a Blink Dagger. He might look towards a Scythe of Vice. There are many options open to Filth from this itemization. Bicolor, he's got his mech, he's got a BKB, he's looking tanky, he's looking well. Hif, he's got no enough shadows. Hey, he's got 17 charges on his wand. He ain't gonna die soon. We got an Urn on the Tusk as well. The fact that his Urn has more charges generally means that he's either worse at using the Urn, or he's just generally the more close hero to kills when they happen. And he's got about 700 gold and Smoke of Deceit following him. Him and Lina, once they clean up this wave, are gonna try and push and kill someone. Or maybe he's just gonna smoke and see what he can find from being in the lane. In the top lane, John D wards whatever ward the Radiant heroes had, and Night Stalker choosing to not complete the Aghanim Scepter, but instead complete a Vladimir's Offering and a Gem of True Sight to get that early vision for the invisible Clinks, and just constantly deward the Radiant heroes through the sneaky usage of the gem. Filth, oh, he's been caught out. He's forced to pop his BKB, but then he gets Winter's Cursed and brought down by the, oh, he's, what a grave by the Dazzle. That grave by the Dazzle just saved the fight. Yelena gets her rotation off before she dies. The Phoenix stun does stun 2 of the heroes out. Clinks is spotted and he is caught by the dust, but they'll need a stun to... Oh, and there it comes. Cold Snap, Clinks is down. What a very good fight for Team ZT. Even though the Invoker had to buy back, it's still an almost 3,000 gold swing for them. Killing the high gold heroes in the Clinks allowed them to catch up on golden experience. While the Lina is still the highest level in the game, along with the Clinks, the 2 supports from the Radiant team are very, very poor. The Tusk, he's only got a Drums. The Dazzle, he's only got Arcane Boots. And that's not going to help him very much when Team ZT's heroes are running at him. Sunstrike being thrown out, possibly just to check the Roshan pit, yes. And Roshan is not yet up. Night Stalker's gem proving useful once more as a D-ward. More of the wards, fairly obviously placed by the rune spots. Night Stalker, he sees the end of his rune, the sentry ward, and promptly clears it up. The Dire know that Roshan is spawning fairly soon, and they just want to make sure they control it when it happens. Roshan is now up. If they just walk into the pit with a Night Stalker as they are doing, they'll see that the Big Daddy, he's ready for a fight, and he's willing to be killed again and again. John, on the Winter Wyvern, he's picked up a Glimmer Cape, which can provide some very annoying rapid invisibility, and seeing the ice shards thrown mid might make the ZT heroes try go for him a bit more. Delina choosing to go for an early Lincoln's, well, not so early anymore, a Lincoln Sphere to try help her survive. The spells, pretty much all of the spells from the ZT heroes are very bad for Lina. Whether they slow her down, they silence her, they deal massive amounts of damage. Being able to block one every 17 seconds will help immensely with their team fights. Clinks has managed to pick up a Desolator and a Daedalus. Well, a Crystalist, not quite an entire Daedalus. Choosing to go a more glass cannon build with the BKB. BKB allowing him to tank through. Oh, and this could be a very, very bad fight with the beam coming in from Phoenix. Night Stalker is silenced, but Clinks, he pops his BKB, he right clicks, but with the 2 BKBs running down, the Radiant team will need to get out of here. And Phoenix, he says that's not going to happen. Hoots, he's caught, he might be brought down, but a nice stun from Filth makes sure that the Night Stalker gets to leave it. The gem's on the ground, and the ultimate from the Winter Wyvern does bring down the Clinks, and this is a very, very scrappy fight. Everyone is low, so it's going to be a matter of who backs down first. Piccolo gets a very solid grave from Dazzle. Lina right-clicking to her heart's content. She may be silenced, but she's not going to go down. Dodging the tornado from the Invoker and remaining alive allows the Radiant team to take a 3-for-2 and run away licking their wounds. Filthy, however, is looking to go back in. They do have dust, but it was popped a little too far south considering the Invoker was very, very far away with his high levels in Wax. Invoker continued throwing out Sunstrikes just to check if the Radiant team are doing Roshan, and in fact they are not. They're farming buybacks. In terms of buyback status, we have on the Dire team, we have Gyrocopter, Winter Wyvern, and Phoenix all having their buybacks. Invoker's buyback is still on cooldown from the time he bought back not so long ago to win that fight over. And on the Radiant, absolutely no one has buyback at this point in time. With that pickup of the Lincoln Sphere, the leader is playing a little bit more aggressively. Clinks, he's getting closer to that Daedalus, that next step up in damage. But the Radiant, they're looking to find something. Night Stalker gets spotted going into the pit, and Clinks, he's just there to try and see what he can see. Lena's also rotating into the area. Clinks going straight into the Roshan pit in invisibility. The Night Stalker, if he goes too close to the Radiant side, he may run into this Sentry Ward and run into a world of problems as a result. They smoked, but that might have been caught by the Dire Ward. I don't know. Dire, they're not responding too defensively, so maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they just think that the Radiant heroes are just farming their own jungle and not bothering with Roshan. But this is a nice wraparound from the Radiant heroes. The Clinks are going to run to the Night Stalker. Lina pops a BKB. Oh, but she doesn't get anything off it right away. Oh, she pops a BKB. Ulties the Gyrocopter, who gets promptly cold embraced by the Winter Wyvern. Pops his BKB and goes down. But the burst damage from the Clinks is just so significant. He brings down 3 heroes in one fight. Well, 2 heroes in one fight, and then Lina cleans up the rest of the fight as they actually take a 4 for nothing. 5,500 gold swing, especially with a gem dropping on the ground. Clinks picks up the Aegis. He's got a very heavy pocket of change. The Dire creep wave is pushing the top lane up, but not enough that the Radiant needs to be worried about it. Clinks, he's just roaming through the jungle. He can see that he's very strong and he can probably burst down any hero on the Dire team if he finds them alone. He's just hoping to find an important target alone and not just something like the Winter Wyvern. But even the Winter Wyvern, all heroes have their role to play in a team fight, and the Winter Wyvern ultimate is a significant part of ZT's team fight. Removing it from the play could be immensely helpful. With the 2 machine gun snipers in Lina and Clinks, the Radiant team do manage to get the middle tower. Tusk snowballs in onto the creep wave, realizing that this is a Night Stalker illusion and not the actual Night Stalker. Lina continues to just farm up. She's got 4,000 gold. Buys an entire Maelstrom just for some additional magic damage and pushing potential with the procs from the Chain Lightning. Clinks finishes his Daedalus, making his damage rather scary indeed. He now hits for about 300 per shot without even digesting a creep and not counting crits. So unless ZT manage to control and kill the Clinks very, very early on, they're going to struggle to win the fight with his damage potential coming out consistently. They do spot him getting a bounty rune at the top rune, but they don't know where he goes after that. Filth, with that Maelstrom, they might look to just push a lane, or they're gathering up for what looks like a smoke attempt. 4 heroes smoke behind the Clinks in the mid lane, baiting out the Clinks. Oh, but then he goes into invis as well. They're just hoping to find one of Team ZT by themselves in the jungle. Right now, that's not gonna happen. Team ZT are very afraid, just cowering in base, running circles around their middle tower. Not seeing anyone in their field of vision means that the Radiant team will likely just begin to push the lane. Clinks farming up some creeps, getting one more big creep for his damage, and scouting ahead in invis. In terms of detection, the Dire team have no gem anymore, considering it was lost in the previous fight. So Clinks is going to be very annoying to try and deal with. He deals a lot of damage. You can just go invis to kill people, but they have managed to initiate on him. But that is only the first life. Lina gets her Laguna Blade off. Tusk gets his punch off. Then he gets Agon Incepted. He gets Winter's Curse to death. Clinks farms a couple creeps, and oh, the important thing was Tusk was carrying the gem for the Radiant team, which means it can now be given over to the Night Stalker to prevent the Clinks from being so aggressive. That was actually a very silly play. I don't know why the Tusk went in and then the rest of his team just didn't back him up. It means the loss of their gem and the loss of a serious piece of momentum that they had going. The gold graph was continually going up and up, but then with that fight it sort of flatlined at about 13k. So they're still very far ahead, more than 20,000 experience and 13k gold, but they could have been even better if the Tusk had not managed to get himself killed so easily. In the top lane, Lina using that Maelstrom, clearing out creep waves faster than even she can wait for them to respawn. She blocks the big campfires with her butt and maybe in some trouble here. With the smoke from the Dire, they might catch Lina out. Tusk is in the neighborhood, but he's not right next to Lina at this point. And if Lina shows herself, she runs serious risk of death. With the duration of the smoke wearing out, the Dire heroes choosing just to concede their mid lane tower and wait for the Radiant to push in by themselves. The longer they sit and wait, the more far ahead the Radiant heroes get. Jara choosing to go, after he finished an MKB, he chooses to go for a Satanic. Another very solid defensive item for the Gyrocopter, with the flak cannon giving him so much damage he can heal inordinate amounts of his health when he puts it on. And Dire continued to scout Roshan with Sun Strikes, and while farming their one carry. While two heroes on the Radiant team are both incredibly farmed, the Lina and the Clinks, it is only the Gyrocopter that is the hope for Team ZT. That superior scaling into the late game has not really happened, as they fell behind in the mid game. Not significantly, but the Radiant team were able to take the small advantages that they got to have the game in a vice grip at this point in time. There may only be one more difference of kills, but there's 12,000 net worth and 23,000 XP between the teams. That shows you how sometimes the scoreboard can be very, very deceiving, as it doesn't account for gold lead. Tusk to push out the lane, snowballing, making sure the lane is as far in as possible before backing out. Both teams, once again, just waiting on Roshan. As this is now a double elimination, the teams are more cautious of dying to Roshan very, very quickly. Dying very, very quickly, and they just want to ensure that they get Roshan as a backup in case one of their carries gets caught out, so that they can still take the team fight, even if they are one man down. Klinks goes invis, scouts an invis rune, takes it. Necessary? Probably not. Fun? Very. The Variant team, they're just grouped up by the Ancients, making sure that they starve Team ZT of all of their farm and can end the game on their own terms. Roshan will be spawning very, very soon, and at that time Team ZT can take the Roshan, push high ground, and maybe take the game. But Team ZT do still have the potential to bring us back. We saw the power of one very, very good Winter's Curse in a crucial team fight. If they manage to Winter's Curse the Klinks, or Winter's Curse someone next to the Klinks, that spells one important deleted hero right off the bat. JX, he doesn't know he's been scouted by a Sentry Ward. He may now, considering the amount of spells that have been thrown at him is greater than 0, but the Team ZT looking to just try and regain at least some map control. They know if this keeps on going much longer, they're going to be too far behind to come back, even if a fight goes perfectly. So while they're still trying to farm, they are also wary in the back of their mind that the Radiant team are likely farming more efficiently just because of the gold lead that they have over them. The Invoker, he's incredibly impoverished. He's only managed to pick up an Aghanim Scepter and an Orchid at 56 minutes. That means he will not be able to tank a great deal, as he only has one item that provides him stats. With the Sentry Ward on the ground, the Radiant team spot out the Invoker's rotation and successfully dodge it. Lena, she's picked up her Boots of Travel, so she can be anywhere, hit anything. Klinks, he's picked up a Scythe of Vice, so he can control one hero in the fights. Most likely that Gyrocopter, or maybe even the Invoker if the Invoker is proving difficult. But that extra control should allow the Radiant team to take this Roshan, move high ground, and end the game, barring any miraculous team fight from Team ZT. Lena picks up the Aegis, and the Radiant team push forward towards the mid. Never mind. Lena TP's bottom, clears out the massive creep wave that was developing there, 2 catapults, several range creeps, and just gets a vast amount of money. However, she can be with her team in 30 seconds, so this does not mean that the push is stalled. She is backed up by the entirety of the rest of her team in the Radiant jungle, except for Klinks, who knows that he's very far ahead. He's got lockdown. He can take down pretty much anyone. He's level 25. One of only 2 heroes to be that, and they're both on the Radiant team. He does, however, run into the entire Dire team and is spotted by the Night Stalker. He doesn't have the Aegis. He only has his BKB. He uses his Hex to try to bring down Play Game Me before he dies. He does manage to do so, but he goes down. He's down for 100 seconds. He doesn't have buyback. this could be the opening that Team ZT needed to take the game. Potentially. 87 seconds without a Clinks is a long time. Is he even close to having buyback? He was 40 gold short. If he'd killed 1 or 2 lane creeps, he would have been fine. But he has not managed to do so. But as time goes by, he is generating enough gold to begin to have buyback. So maybe in about 10 seconds he'll have buyback. It also doesn't look like Team ZT are looking to push. They're looking just to use this small period of time to get the farm that they have needed for so desperately long. Deck, hasn't advanced from that Satanic picked up earlier, but he has got 3k gold, so he could pick up a small item and still have buyback. The Night Stalker, since that Aghanim's, also nothing, but he has buyback, but not enough gold. Overall, the buyback status is that every single Radiant, the 3 Radiant cores have their buyback, and the only person on the die not to have buyback is that Night Stalker. So there could be many, many lives thrown out at the next fight. This game could still be going on for a while yet, unless one team decides to just buy items and go for one last death push. The game is settling down once more after that little bit of action. Clink's getting caught out, but the Winter Wyvern, they're smoking. They don't want to rest on their laurels. They know that as this game goes on, the Radiant team are slowly outfarming them, not significantly, but slowly but surely. And they want to put a stop to that. They want to end the Radiant team. Radiant team, they're moving into the jungle, but at nighttime with a Night Stalker who has perfect vision. One Tusk gets down and one Tusk dies. Clinks gets tornadoed. Someone else gets Winter's Cursed. At the backline was the Dazzle. But with the pick off of the Tusk, the Dire team just get back. Glimmer Cape, TP out, Winter Wyvern escapes. 1 for nothing. Easy 1500 gold. 1 kill is 1500 gold at this point in time. That's how far the Radiant are ahead of Team ZT. We'll see if the Radiant look to get a revenge kill or just back up and farm, and the answer seems to be just back up and farm. But Team ZT, they're not content. That smoke worked, so another one should too. They pick up another smoke from the Shopkeeper, which might be their last smoke for a long time, and walk forward to catch out the Lina. However, despite this 5-man rotation, Lina, she's like, I don't need to be there. I'll just back out. I'll just go to the jungle. I'll farm that. I have 6.8k gold. What are you going to do to me, man? At this point, Lina, her Aegis is going to begin to run out, and Radiant look to make the most of it while it still lasts. Tusk picking up a smoke, and the Radiant here is most likely just going to go for a quick smoke. There's the sound of the Aegis expiring, so a little bit too late on trying to get a major team fight with the Aegis up. But Lina, she's almost got her Mjolnir. She'll pick that up from the side shop. Oh, but she forgot to bring the recipe with her. She's now got the piece, but she hasn't got the recipe, so she won't be able to pick up the item at this point in time. The Radiant are looking to be stealthy and kind of conceal their numbers in the top lane, but this very solid Dire Ward from Sneaky means that they're entirely spotted out, and they choose just to push in the top lane where ZT have no tier 3 tower. The group up is 5. They know they've got 15,000 gold and 17,500 more experience than ZT has at this point. they should be able to come out ahead in a fight. They bring down the creeps, they hex up Sneaky, but he runs back. They may just be trying to wait out nighttime. The Viper is motivated. Oh, and a Winter's Curse onto Filth. But no one's going on him. They didn't have the follow-up from the rest of his team. So Filth is still alive. He's on half health. Bicolor eats the cheese. Filth manages to kill the Night Stalker, and he's still going. But Filth will go down now. And that, in the end, while it did cost them 2 buybacks, could prove to be a very good fight for Team ZT. It's currently a 3 for 2, make it a 4 for 2, although those 2 were buybacks. With the extra damage from the Sacred Relic on the Gyrocopter, they did manage to bring down a number of the heroes and swing, even with those buybacks, swing 3,500 gold towards Team ZT. And the buybacks, they weren't on cores, they were only on supports, and Gyrocopter might choose to be bold here and buy a Divine Rapier. He does have the gold, but right now he's just leaving it the Relic. He thinks this damage is sufficient. Let's just live with this for a while before we do anything silly. The Invoker, he's got his boots of travel, he's moving excessively fast right now. DDC, it's very hard for the Radiant to kill him at this point, because if they try to burst him down without actually stunning him, he's just going to pop his Satanic even if he's silenced. They haven't got anything that stops him from using his items, and the only stun that can lock him down for long enough to bring him down is if they chain stun him right from full health to 0, and they're not doing that right now. The Team ZT do pull out the Fortify. The gold graph, it's dipping down. The experience graph even more so. More than what was once a 30,000 XP lead is now closer to about 8,000. The Radiant, the Dire, catching up on experience, and the Gyrocopter has picked up a Butterfly. So with the bonus damage of his Sacred Relic, he is dealing a lot of damage very rapidly. He's going to be flak cannoning to his heart's content and catching up to Felina on her level 25. Gyrocopter looks to be the first hero on the Dire team to reach that mythical level 25, while Filth and the Clinks have been there for a long period of time. Sure, they got their advantage, but they didn't even push an entire lane of barracks off of it. While they have a great single target burst capability in the early to mid game, in the late game they don't have much spread damage. They have to focus on one target, and if that target doesn't die, the Radiant team are going to lose the fight, as was shown in the last fight. They managed to bring down the supports, but they couldn't bring down any of the cores on Team ZT. And now, as the Team ZT heroes have gained levels and farm, they've picked up items like the Satanic, like the Aghanim Scepter, to give them that extra health needed to survive. And what was once a game that is heavily in the Radiant team's favor is looking ever more perilous. Even though they still have a massive gold lead, it doesn't seem to be mattering that much in the fights, because the two heroes that they have the amount of gold on tend to go on different targets. Roshan just not scouted out by that Bloodstrike. A couple of seconds later and it would have been successfully done. And the Dire team looking just to try scout out the Tusk. Oh, but that's a great Winter's Curse to save the Phoenix. JX does get blown up. Oh, the damage from the Clinks is still incredible. Oh, Deck gets done. This could be it. This could be his death, but a nice cold embrace means that he's not going to get right click down, and he just pops his Satanic and comes right back into the fight. The Clinks is dealing massive damage to him, But can he survive? No. Gyrocopter goes down, Clinks goes down. It seems to be a very, very back and forth fight. Voka, who bought back, he is there when the Viper gets killed. And he does manage to get the kill on the Dazzle as well, if they find a stun from somewhere. They actually do not, so they do not manage to kill the Dazzle. He will try and find Sunstrike, but just miss. So, all in all, a 4 for 3 in favor of Team ZT. Another 2,000 gold going their way, despite another buyback being used. That Invoker buyback could prove costly if the Radiant look to push within the next couple of minutes, but that extra gold will help their Winter Wyvern survive better. He's got a Blink Dagger to... He's had a Blink Dagger for a long time to try and initiate. He's got the gem. And the experience, it's gone to 0. And Lena, sensing that the Invoker wanted to push high ground, she buys back. Some may say a little prematurely, just to make sure that they can't push high ground right now. So with both the Lena and the Invoker's buybacks on cooldown, the next fight will prove crucial. Roshan will be up, Cheese will be there for the taking, and we could be down to one conclusive fight with 7 or 8 lives with buybacks thrown in to the melting pot and multiple people, maybe people dying twice, even 3 times with an Aegis. Team ZT looking just to clean out the wards. With Nightstalker at nighttime, there is no place to hide for those poor observer and sentry wards. Roshan, he starts punching down Forge Spirit, while the Team ZT wait for the Gyrocopter to respawn. Clinks, he still has massive amounts of farm in addition to his buyback. Lena, she's getting a Demon Edge, maybe finishing up. She has purchased a full MKB. She doesn't have buyback. She knows that if she doesn't kill the Gyrocopter in the next fight, her team is done. And she wants to make sure that she can do so by securing her team, Roshan. But doing so at nighttime against a Nightstalker is going to prove... Oh, she's caught. This could be bad. Filth, she gets the BKB off, but the snowball saves her from, even though she was Winter's Curse. Great from the Dazzle. Deck, he's going down. Filth is still alive, and the Dire Heroes don't have buyback. This could be devastating. The creeps have even pushed in the Dire top lane. Clinks, he smells an opportunity. He TPs. He just goes ham on the barracks, and that's going to be a lane of barracks down most likely. He respects the Winter Wyvern, but he knows that Winter's Curse is down, and he is just right-clicking that barracks to death. He hexes the Phoenix, doesn't care to try and kill him, and Lena TPs in to support her bony buddy. The Fiery Lady and the Fiery Bones combine together to push down the barracks, set them ablaze. Filth does get hexed, but she also gets graved by Dazzle, and Snowball is used to push in deep on the heroes, distracting them while Clinks just hits the barracks, just hits the dive barracks. But in the Radiant base, the Dire Creeps are pushing the Radiant's mid barracks. But with Radiant Mega Creep spawning, that should come to an end fairly soon. Viper, he's tanking the majority of everything. Clinks pops his BKB, just wails in the barracks, and off the back of one fight, the Radiant team have managed to clean up almost Mega Creeps. Clinks will come in, secure the Mega Creeps, and then look to clean up the remainder of the heroes. That should be the end of the game, barring some massive throws and Clinks dying multiple times. It is going to be very hard for Team ZT to come back from Mega Creeps down. They will just have to find a way to push and end now. But with Deck looking to be going down. Oh, the great cold embrace does save Deck's life, and he managed to get all of the kills. Gets a double kill. Does not quite have enough gold for buyback, but he does have an Abyssal Blade. This is an item that I've seen a couple of times from professional gyrocopters in recent times. Just the late game Abyssal Blade, just to be able to lock down someone if you're close to them. I think it's it's an interesting item choice. Oh, and look at that goal. Even with the fact that there are mega creeps, Deck and his squad fighting valiantly against them just to try and end the game. Deck sells his Abyssal Blade and buys a Rapier. He knows there is one way that they win, and that is to push pretty much right now. His team pushes mid, the Night Stalker tries to defend against mega creeps, but he's not succeeding. The creeps are pushing into the base, the creeps are hitting the Ancient, and the Winter Wyvern comes just in time to draw the creep aggro off, but there are still 2 catapults hitting the Ancient. Will they be able to get the creeps off? And as things were looking up, one final wave comes in and ends it with one shot from Cardi the Catapult. 75-minute game, very much back and forth. Even though Team ZT had a significant gold lead for the majority of the game, this game could have gone anywhere. Team ZT showing great pluck to fight back against, even though they were down. I've been PizzaDog Dota. You can find me at twitch.tv/PizzaDogCasting, twitter.com/PizzaDog, and on YouTube as just PizzaDog. Thank you for joining me in this NDAC game, and I hope you continue to watch as there's still many more games to come. Thank you, and see you soon.